All right, welcome everyone. This is the experimental show where again, I play around with some ideas of how to make that perfect house. This is something that I want to make a series of, so let's give it a go and see what happens today on the experimental show. All right, welcome everyone. My name is Michelle. We've got Jacob in the house. And he's got his Glass Academy shirt, The Gathering Points, the show we do every Tuesday, but today we are doing an experimental show. This is a time where we experiment with a couple ideas, different tools, how we develop our classes and our next product lines. Now, a few weeks back, I did a house, and this time Jake's in town, so I'm going to have him work with me on the house. And I got a series of molds. Now, notice we kind of have this on fast action here. We sped it up a little bit so you don't have to watch every part in between, but here we go. I've got a small bubble. I'm putting a neck into it, and what I'm going to do is blow into a metal, kind of like a box. Jake's working the camera so you can see what it looks like from his perspective. He's got the camera, he's lighting the torch, and then he's going to the next stage where I am. This particular mold was used for another project, but I want to see what the scale is going to do and if I like it or not. So into the mold it goes, blowing up. It's super soft and flexible. And I took a look at it. Here's the neck, spinning it up and deciding what I like or don't like about it. The mold takes a lot of heat out of the glass, and it was not preheated, so it actually got some cracks when I went on the mold, which is fine. That just simple blowing into it will heat it up, so I'm going to make another one. Now this one I don't put the neck in it at first because I want to see what's going to happen without the neck. I just saw what happened with the neck. That's the connection point where you break it off the pipe. I love wooden tools. They're nice and soft on the glass. They don't take a lot of heat out of the glass. And so I use that and it just rides along, creates this nice layer of steam, and then I can blow through the pipe to expand the glass. With my prototypes too, I always keep them small. And the reason I keep them small is so I can do them quicker and get a few done. The glass that I'm using is recycled glass. It's got a light blue hue to it. I'm going to use your recycled glass instead of our clear tank because these are all prototypes. Now the clear tank, I could recycle the glass and use it again, but we've already got this blue. That is part of our recycled line, so I'm going to use that. And back into the mold. This time, like I said, I do not have a neck in it. It allows me to blow it out a little different. I do not want it to go over the side, so I keep it low. Holds its heat nice and well because it's that blue color. You can see it's still orange. It tells me it's got enough heat in it, so I can continue to shape it. Our studio is located in Dearborn, Michigan. In the upper hand corner there, you can see Made in the USA. We are in Michigan, a small private studio. And these are items that we sell on the website, but we also develop a product line that allows students to come in and try glass blowing. These are kind of one and done classes, much like swimming with the dolphins. You come in, you try a class, you understand a little bit of what glass making is and glass blowing is without changing your whole career and becoming a glass blower. Now, these are some tools that I'm going to use for the next section. Again, Jake's working with me, so at some point he's going to set the camera down and assist me. So he's going to turn the pipe. I need some hot glass in this little mold. So I gathered some glass, I cut it off. It's nice and hot, it cuts easily. Push it in there a little bit. Again, I don't know that this is the complete shape I want, but this is a mold that we had in the studio, so I'm willing to try it. Taking the bottom of this bronze mold, I'm able to push it down and it creates a flat patty. Kind of interesting, the rectangle shape made it look like a dog bone. It kind of rounded out in the four corners, which I thought was kind of cool. So take my piece, I set it on top. Presumably in the center is what I'm looking for, and anytime two pieces of glasses are joined, you have to heat them up. Using the shears, I can go straight across this and cut off that dog bone kind of look, and that smooths it out, gives me more of a square. Perfect. It's got sharp angles, so I'm going to go heat it up, round those angles out, and then angle the roof on top of the house. It's not bad to see the time it takes to reheat too. As you work on new pieces, you always have to spend time reheating them. Next, I'm going to use a tool. It's a flat crimp, and I go in there and I can press it and squeeze it down to get the shape that I'm looking for. So that kind of made the roof. And what I'm going to do is, once I experiment with these and know exactly how I want them, I'm going to actually make a mold that will work exactly how I need it for these products. This is a punty. It's called a donut punty, and it doesn't, it allows a bigger surface area. It doesn't have the point on it like our normal punties do. So into the reheating chamber. And then we'll stretch it open. I'm going to add a door to this. You see Jake and I talking about what's going on and how we want to do things. So using the jacks, I can just stretch the glass open. This is going to be a square, so it starts out round, and once I get it hot enough, I'm going to turn it into that square shape. So my ultimate goal with these is to kind of have 2 to 3 different molds. There's where I square it up. And so I can make houses of different sizes, different colors, different roof patterns. I really like the opportunities this could have. You could make a whole community. You could put some together and make an apartment complex. Glass will never be perfectly square. It doesn't like sharp angles unless it's sheet glass and you're using stained glass. So for me, I know it's going to be slightly rounded. That's not a problem. I like the hollow reflection on it, so you could put things inside of it. And next, we're going to add the door to it. Torch is essential. Jake's lighting the torch here, and we've got a small bit of cane on the bench, so Jake is going to spin the pipe for me, or hold the pipe, while I heat the torch and add that cane. Cane is just a small bit of glass that is stretched out. This is colored cane. And it takes me a minute to remember how to do my hand. You can see some of those moves were a little awkward. And it gets really hot when your hand is above the piece, so you can't have it above the piece. And I'm going to fill in that little crack that was right there. Back to the glory hole. So you are watching the Glass Academy. These are products that we make once a week on our experimental show. And once finished, it has to go in the cooling oven. There's a bit tour of our studio. This is where it lands on the knockoff table. Yeah, the roof's a little funky on this one, but that's because the house shape was a little odd. But the roof kind of works. If the house shape on the top didn't come to a point, this would be lovely. Taking the tools, you can't hold the glass, so here it goes into the cooling chamber, where it will sit with all the items and come down tomorrow. Now, Jake's giving you a tour. We walked over to our metal shop, and this is what I was saying. What type of tools and equipment could we try to test? There's some graphite there, there's some more graphite, and then here's a whole box of it. So what I did was take 4 squares, washed off that dust, and then with those 4 squares, I was able to make something like this. That allows me to expand it and change the shape a little bit. So once we get the finished design made, it will be similar to this. So each one can be a little bit different. All right, there I am washing it off, getting that layer of dust off. And then this is like one of those games you played when you were a kid. I'm gonna stack it up so it makes the square the size that I'm looking for. Now, if I were to blow into this without putting bricks on the side of it, what would happen is the graphite would just fall over. So I am doing like a little math game. How does this go again? So that's too narrow. That's a little better. Aha. So making sure all the points are there, and then lining up the bricks. Hold it so that when I blow, it does exactly what I need it to do. And then the final brick on the back side there. Perfect. So the graphite's washed off. There's a little water on it. That's not a big deal. And then what I wish I would have done is put a metal plate on the floor. Right now, it's just going to go against the concrete. Not a huge big deal, but better if there was a steel plate underneath. So graphite all over my hands. Want to clean those up. Then I'm like, ooh, should I use this mold instead for the roof? Rectangle? Square. I'm going with rectangle. Once you get rolling, you want to make sure you have all the tools and techniques together. I'm kind of going over it with Jake, thinking a few things through. Did I get everything lined up? Is this exactly how I need it? Making sure we have all the tools and techniques, so in the middle of it, I'm not scrambling for something. There's the mold setup. When you play those games as a kid, can you put things together? That's how you come up with real-life products as an adult. This is the mold that I used to squash the bottom. It's brass on the bottom, so you can see it's solid there. That writing will not show up or be indented on the piece. These were the two molds that I was working with that day for the roof, and I picked them out from this shelf here. Those are all different molds we use for all kinds of different projects, and we just hang on to them because you never know when you're going to need them again. That's the round shelf. There's the solid graphite for some bigger projects. Graphite absorbs the heat. It doesn't distract the heat. Metal will take the glass quickly, take the heat out of the glass quickly. Graphite's a little softer, not as aggressive on the glass. The wooden blocks here are the softest thing on the glass. They take the less heat from the glass. The metal table here will absorb more glass, like more heat from the glass. So the more you can work on glass without reheating it, the better off you are. And the metal table allows us to really dive in and like get a super cool area on the glass so the hot stuff blows out. I blew it larger than would fit in that hole, so I can just roll it on the table here and squash it back down to the proper size. And you can see the setup takes a minute. So if we're going to do this as a product, it needs to be efficient. If we're going to teach this as a class, we need to make sure we have all the steps down so that students have success. I'm short, so I got to stand on a mold, but drip the glass into that below. It's going to take on the shape. You can see it expanding there against the walls, pushing against that brick. I did not put a neck in the piece, so that's going to be the next step. Perfect, a nice square. And there's the neck. So the other part of this is the roof is square. So this is like a flat housed roof right now. So if we choose to go forward, we may need to make the roof pitched. And then I have to decide what pitch I want it. So I was talking with a mold maker, and he told me how to get him everything he needs. What I'm going to do is make it out of foam core to the actual size I want, and then he'll take those dimensions and make it out of wood or graphite or metal, depending on what I want for the finished piece. So this gives me a general idea of what I want to do. Then I can actually have the mold maker work with me. So small bit of glass, and Jake's going to shake it out. He's going to squash it while I reheated the piece, and then again, same thing, attach it. And which way do I want it. Still don't like those dog bone edges, so they get trimmed off. I don't like how they rounded out weird, so now it's going to have a straighter edge. But again, the other one had a 4-point, came to like a diamond shape. This one is a flat roof. So many choices, so many ways to make this work. I was saying there. I was laughing about something. So, pushing it down kind of makes it at an angle. And this one we're going to turn into a barn. I'm like, if you have a house, you might want a wider one. This looks like a barn compared to a house. Squaring it up again. So, the donut punty that's brought to it just holds on to it real softly so that we can open up the bottom. I thought maybe we could try the corks. So Jake is being mindful of where the camera is and he's squeezing it down with the corks. The thing I like about the cork, they are cork from a tree of what you put in your wine bottle. The thing about corks is that they don't take a lot of heat out of the glass and they will not leave a scar on the glass. Putting any type of metal, the glass into any type of metal or graphite, if it's not been preheated, it leaves these tiny little stress marks on the glass. Sometimes you can heat them up and burn them out, but for the most part, they're on the surface and they don't really go away. So graphite's pretty cool. It's a way to shape and manipulate the glass and get it to the shape you want without leaving any stress marks on it. Stress marks are a very light surface thing, and you will never see them on a store or in a gallery on a finished product because it's poor craftsmanship. You just don't leave those on there. So I'm letting Jake know about the cane, how I want it done, like 2 barn doors with an X through it. And the finished pieces you'll see sitting next to each other. Again, they're done in this blue because I'm prototyping them. The finished pieces will add color onto the house, and we'll have clear glass. So you can have a clear house, you can have a colored house. Got Matt jumping in on the camera here, so Jake did the same thing I did. We know how we want this square to be, but wait a second, how do I maneuver that and do it successfully? So he did the first big box, and the glass is needing to be reheated or it will crack. And now he's going to do the lines in between. His comment is the piece of color cane is too short. He was starting to burn his fingers, so he's going to grab another piece. And I'll go back now and straighten it up and continue the square. You can see it quickly gets out of shape just by heating it. A little bit of corks, I can use the jacks, and then the piece is going to be finished. Because we did a little more work, it was really stuck on the pipe. So I'll use a little water here and be able to knock it off. The little knob stayed on the top, which isn't a problem. The next day I was able to just use a knife and pop it right off. So where Jake was going to use the torch, I told him to stop for a minute and not use the torch. Into the cooling oven, you can see some of our other items were in there. And if you like this show, stay tuned because I'm going to have more items to add to the show in future shows. Thanks for watching, everyone. We appreciate you.